Two Land Rovers on the same forecourt, same year, same mileage, same price. One will pass 200,000 miles. The other will hand you a bill that costs more than the vehicle is worth. The last engine on this list is the only one worth the risk. Number 15. Why the badge tells you nothing here. Every Land Rover reliability argument goes wrong in the same place. People talk about the model, and the model is not what decides your ownership. Look at what actually sat under these bonnets. Rover V8s, Ford diesels, BMW V8s, Land Rover's own Ingenium family, and a Supercharged V8 that shares a badge with a naturally aspirated version, behaving completely differently. Same shape, same interior, same 3 letters on the tailgate. Completely different machines underneath. Which means the question is never whether a Discovery is reliable or whether a Range Rover Sport is reliable. Those questions have no answer. The question is which engine is in the specific vehicle in front of you and which production years it came from. It also explains why you will find 2 owners of the same model who genuinely disagree about the brand. One of them bought the right engine and the other did not, and neither of them ever knew that was the variable. Get that right and you are looking at 200,000 miles. Get it wrong and you are looking at a repair that exceeds what the vehicle is worth, which is why the first half of this list exists at all. Start with the engine owners cannot get insured against. Number 14. The early 2.0 Ingenium diesel, 2015 to 2018. Land Rover introduced the 2.0-liter Ingenium diesel in 2015 as its own in-house design, replacing the Ford-sourced units. It went into the Evoque, the Discovery Sport, the Velar, and the Defender. The problems arrived with it, and there are 4 of them. Early timing chain wear, turbocharger failures, oil dilution, and diesel particulate filter issues. The timing chain is the one that ends engines. Stretching is a well-documented issue on these units, and a stretched chain on a modern diesel does not give you a warning phase. Independent specialists are direct about the buying advice. Avoid the 2015 to 2018 Ingenium diesels unless there is verified proof of timing chain replacement. Not a claim that it was done, proof. Oil dilution deserves its own note because it compounds everything else. Fuel works past the piston rings into the crankcase and thins the oil, and that thinner oil is what your timing chain and your turbocharger are relying on. One fault feeding 2 others. There is one genuine mitigation worth knowing. Reliability improves significantly with oil changes every 7,000 miles, which is well inside the factory interval. An owner who did that has a very different engine from one who followed the book. Its petrol twin has 3 separate failure points. Number 13. The 2.0 Ingenium petrol in the Range Rover Sport. Same engine family, different fuel, and the specialists who work on these are just as blunt about it. 10 years of Range Rover Sport data points at the 2.0-liter 4-cylinder Ingenium as the powertrain to avoid, and it names 3 faults specifically. Timing chain stretch, turbocharger failures, and piston cooling jet solenoid issues. The 2017 and 2018 model years are called out as the worst affected. That 3rd fault is the one most buyers have never heard of. Piston cooling jets spray oil at the underside of the pistons to control their temperature. When the solenoid controlling them fails, the pistons run hotter than they were designed to, and you will get no dashboard warning telling you that is happening. It is worth checking which engine you are actually being offered, because on the Range Rover Sport, the 4-cylinder and the Supercharged 6 sat in the same showroom in the same year at very different prices. The cheaper one on the forecourt today is usually the 4. So a 4-cylinder in a 2.5-ton vehicle was already working hard.
Add a cooling system fault it cannot report, and you understand why this engine has the reputation it does. A crankshaft that fails between 80 and 120,000 miles. Number 12. The 3.0 TDV6 crankshaft failure. This is the one that costs the most, and it is a manufacturing defect rather than a wear item. The engine is the 306 DT, the 3.0-liter diesel V6. The failure is the crankshaft, and it typically arrives between 80 and 120,000 miles. Land Rover documented it in Bulletin LR TIS 2016-089, and the fault codes to watch for are P06DD, P132A, and P1335. 10 years of reliability data describes it as a well-documented crankshaft failure risk, originating as a manufacturing defect in early batches that never fully disappeared from the line. If you are looking at one of these, treat the fault codes as a shopping tool rather than a diagnosis. Any independent specialist can read them in minutes, and P06DD, P132A, or P1335 in the history is a conversation you want to have before you buy rather than after. Read that last part again, because it is what makes this engine so difficult to shop for. It was not a bad year that got fixed. It was a defect that got better without ever being completely eliminated, which means production year alone will not tell you whether you are safe. Plastic guides in a supercharged V8 timing chain. Number 11. The 5.0 Supercharged V8 timing chain. This is the engine people buy a Range Rover for, and it carries a specific, documented, and extremely expensive weakness. The AJ133 5.0-liter Supercharged V8 and its smaller relative, the AJ126 3.0-liter Supercharged V6, use plastic timing chain guides. Land Rover issued Technical Service Bulletin LTB 00474 NAS3 covering the problem. The symptom is a rattle on cold start, and it is worth being clear about what that rattle means. Plastic guides wear, the chain goes slack, and a slack timing chain on this engine eventually skips. The number attached to that outcome is $18,000 to $25,000 for a new engine. What makes this one particularly awkward is where the money sits. You are usually looking at a vehicle worth less than the engine repair, which means the economics decide for you. A failed chain on a supercharged Range Rover is very often the end of that vehicle. Independent analysis points at the mechanism behind it too. High heat and pressure from forced induction lead to timing chain wear and cooling failures, which is precisely why the naturally aspirated version of this same engine behaves so differently. Hold that thought, because it comes back at number 1. If you found this already video helpful, you'll definitely enjoy my ebook. You can get it through the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on the screen. The limited time offer ends soon, so don't miss out. And don't forget to subscribe. Number 10. The emission system that strands you. Not an engine, but it will decide whether you can drive one, and it is the single most under-discussed cost of owning a modern Land Rover diesel. A fault in the selective catalytic reduction system gives you a countdown. 249 miles to no restart. When that reaches 0, the vehicle will not start again. The bill behind it is not small either. A dealer quote covering the diesel particulate filter and the selective catalytic reduction system can exceed $7,000. And the faults compound. A single failed regeneration of the diesel particulate filter can cascade into exhaust gas recirculation valve contamination and AdBlue system faults, producing repair bills over $4,500. And this is the cost that never appears in a used listing. Nobody advertises a Land Rover as having an emission system that has never been properly regenerated, because the seller usually does not know either. Here is the part that decides whether this applies to you. These systems need sustained heat to clean themselves, which they only get on longer drives. If your Land Rover does short journeys, this is the failure you should be planning for, rather than hoping to avoid. Weak torque and fuel faults on the earliest diesel. Number 9. The early TD6 diesel. Before the engines that made Land Rover's diesel reputation, there was the one that damaged it. The early TD6 is flagged for two things: weak torque and fuel system faults that made repairs costly. The torque complaint deserves a moment, because on most vehicles, it is a comfort issue. On a 2.5-ton four-wheel drive expected to tow and to climb, an engine that does not deliver low-end pull is being asked to work harder than it should, permanently. And an engine working at the top of its range constantly is an engine wearing out faster, which is the theme running through the entire first half of this list. You can hear the difference on a test drive if you know what to listen for. An engine with genuine low-end torque pulls away without needing revs. One without it asks you to work the throttle for the same result, every single time you move off. The fuel system faults are the more direct problem. On a diesel, fuel system repairs move quickly from inconvenient to uneconomic, particularly on a vehicle where the labor rates are already high. Older 2.7-liter versions need exactly the same scrutiny. Number 8. The 2.7 TD V6. The 2.7-liter TD-V6 turns up in the Discovery 3 and early Range Rover Sport models, and it is the engine buyers most often think they have got a bargain on. Specialists are consistent about it. The 2.7 requires the same timing chain scrutiny as the Discovery 4 engine that succeeded it, which means the same rule applies. Documented timing chain work, or walk away. The specific warning is worth stating plainly. Avoid a 2010 to 2014 Discovery 4 TD-V6 without a documented timing chain replacement, and treat the earlier 2.7 with exactly the same suspicion. Which raises the question worth asking about any cheap Discovery. If the engine and the suspension on this platform both carry repairs that can exceed the value of the vehicle, why is this one priced the way it is? Sometimes the answer is a motivated seller. Often it is not. There is a second, separate reason these vehicles get sold cheaply, and it is worth knowing before you get excited about a price. A Discovery 3 or 4 with unresolved air suspension faults carries repair costs that exceed the value of the vehicle itself. 5 checks separate a good Land Rover from a project. Number 7. What to verify before you hand over money. Everything above is only useful if you can establish what is actually in front of you, so this is the checklist. Start by confirming the exact engine code rather than the model year or trim name. Land Rover ran multiple engines under the same badge in the same year, and the difference between them is the difference between this half of the list and the next. Then demand documented timing chain work on anything with a chain-driven Ingenium, TD-V6, or Supercharged V8. A verbal assurance is not documentation. Check the service history for oil changes at 7,000 miles rather than the factory interval, because on the Ingenium engines, that single habit changes the reliability outcome measurably. Get an independent inspection from somebody who works on these specifically, not a general workshop. Land Rover faults cluster in places a generalist will not think to look, and an hour of somebody else's expertise costs a fraction of one of the repairs on this list. Listen for a rattle on a genuinely cold start, not on an engine somebody warmed up before you arrived. And on any modern diesel, ask directly about diesel particulate filter regeneration history and whether the vehicle has lived on short journeys. Now the good news, and it starts with a Ford engine. Number 6. The Ford-sourced 2.2 TD4. The first engine on the recommended half of this list was not designed by Land Rover at all, and that is part of why it works. The 2.2-liter Ford-sourced diesel appears in the Freelander 2 and the early Discovery Sport. Independent reviewers describe it as a solid, no-nonsense unit that suits both vehicles well. It is efficient, reasonably reliable, and parts are widely available, which on a Land Rover is worth more than it sounds. It also responds well to regular servicing and is described as one of the less intimidating Land Rover engines to own used. Specialists rate the Freelander 2 with this engine as the most reliable entry point into the brand for a modern family vehicle. The honest framing is that this engine will never excite you. It is not the most interesting unit in the world, and nobody buys a Freelander for the engine. What it will do is start every morning and cost you very little, which on this brand is genuinely rare. One thing to check on high-mileage examples. Occasional oil pump failures have been reported, so any drop in oil pressure is worth taking seriously rather than monitoring. An engine from the 90s still holds the longevity record. Number 5. The 300 TDI. If your definition of a Land Rover is a vehicle that keeps working rather than one with a screen in it, this is where the conversation ends. For classic mechanical simplicity, the 300 TDI remains the undisputed champion of longevity across the entire Land Rover range. Understand why. Because it is the same principle that decides every engine on this list. There is no high-pressure common rail system, no diesel particulate filter, no selective catalytic reduction system, no turbocharger running at modern pressures, and no electronics that go obsolete. Every one of those absences is a component that cannot fail and a part number that cannot be discontinued in 15 years. The trait is obvious and worth naming. It is slow, it is loud, and it will not pass a modern emissions zone. What it will do is start, and keep starting, long after everything newer on this list has been scrapped. Land Rover fixed the Ingenium, and the 6-cylinder proves it. Number 4. The 3.0 Ingenium Inline 6, D250
and D300. The Ingenium family produced the worst engine on this list. It also produced one of the best, and the difference is the number of cylinders and the years of development in between. The newer 3.0-liter D250 and D300 inline-six diesels are described by specialists as smoother and better sorted than what came before, and the reasons given are specific. Updated timing chains and better oil control. Those are the exact two faults that ruined the early four-cylinder. Not similar faults. The same two, addressed directly. Which tells you Land Rover knew precisely what had gone wrong, and it is the strongest argument available for buying a later engine over an earlier one from the same family. Early results on this engine have been strong, and it is now the sensible modern diesel choice in the range. Then Land Rover gave up and bought BMW's V8. Number 3. The 4.4 BMW V8. This chapter is here because of what it says about Land Rover's own engineering, not just because the engine is good. Land Rover adopted BMW's 4.4-liter twin-turbocharged V8, known internally as the N63, for the latest Range Rover and Range Rover Sport. Badged P530, it produces 523 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. And it replaced Land Rover's in-house 5.0-liter supercharged V8. The engine from number 11, with the plastic timing chain guides. The older 4.4-liter V8 petrol carries a similar reputation in the Discovery 3 and 4. Thirstier than the diesels, but described as offering bulletproof reliability with minimal catastrophic failure modes. For a rural buyer outside a clean air zone, prioritizing longevity over running costs, that is a surprisingly sensible choice on a vehicle where the alternative is a diesel with an emission system waiting to fail. That failing diesel V6 can also reach 200,000. Number 2. The 3.0 SDV6 with paperwork. This is the same engine family as number 12, and everything depends on which version and which history. The 3.0-liter SDV6 in the Discovery 5 is described as delivering the reliability Land Rover promised, built on architecture derived from the TDV6 lineage without its fatal flaws. It combines 302 brake horsepower with genuine 200,000-mile potential when maintained properly. There is a practical advantage attached to it as well. All SDV6 Discovery 5 models meet Euro 6D temp standards, which means they clear every ultra-low emission zone in the United Kingdom without modification. Independent reviewers agree on the condition, though. A well-maintained TDV6 with full history is one of the better engines to find in a used Land Rover. Full history is doing all the work in that sentence, so this is the engine that rewards a buyer with patience. Not the cheapest example, the documented one, which leaves one engine and its supercharged twin failed. Number 1. The naturally aspirated 5.0 V8. This is the answer, and it is the same engine block that appeared at number 11 on the avoid list, without the supercharger bolted to it. The naturally aspirated 5.0-liter AJ V8 is described by specialists as far more dependable than the supercharged version. Without the added strain of forced induction, it runs cooler and avoids many of the problems linked to the supercharged cars. Follow that back to number 11 and the whole picture makes sense. The plastic guides fail because of high heat and pressure. Remove the supercharger and you remove the heat and the pressure, and the failure mode that costs $18,000 to $25,000 stops being the likely outcome. There is independent confirmation from the people who actually open these up. Service technicians report the V8 running clean at high mileage, with intake valves showing less carbon buildup than comparable BMW engines. 10 years of Range Rover Sport data reaches the same place, naming 2018 to 2020 models with the supercharged V6 or V8 as the best buys, and pointing away from the Ingenium 4-cylinder and the diesel V6. So here is the whole video in one instruction. Find a naturally aspirated 5.0 V8 with documented history, listen to it start from stone cold, and accept the fuel consumption as the price of an engine that is not counting down to a failure. Everything else on this list is a compromise. This one is simply a bigger fuel bill.